Yo, what's going on, beautiful and amazing people? Welcome back to Power to People Radio, the People's Podcast, your nonstop shop for information on personal development, financial literacy, and everything and anything you could think of on being the best version of yourself. It's your host on the mic today, Hugh Huncho, the one and only, and with my main man.
Yes, sir. It's your co-host Trey on the mic. Peace, power, and love to all the people out there that's watching and listening. Yo, I don't know if you guys checked out the last episode, but y'all should definitely tune in. We had some fire public interviews for y'all to get the people's take on social media and what they think. It was honestly some interesting content. We had some interesting answers based on what people were thinking out there, but yeah, man, I think y'all should definitely tune into that one. But today, we kind of turning things a little bit. It's going to be more of an educational video for you guys, and it's kind of me and Hugh are kind of in disagreement with what we've seen as far as the videos and the information that is out there. So yeah, Hugh, let's let them in on what we're discussing today, bro.
Where just to give some context on where this conversation came from, I was on the phone with one of my friends, right, or whatever, and I'm at my house, kind of just doing my thing, very relaxed. So I'm sagging my pants or whatever, right. Now, me personally, I would never really sag my pants out in public, right? Like that's just not my thing. And the reason why is because when I was in the third grade, right, I had this third grade teacher. She kind of gave us the origins of where sagging your pants come from, right? So I'm just giving y'all some context. So if you ever take the word sagging, Saggin, and then you flip it around, right? What does it spell? It spells niggas, right?
Right.
So if you flip it around, it spells niggas, right? So in the third grade, could have been like what, maybe late 2000s before the 2010s, of course, when I was in the third grade or whatever. And nah, honestly, this is probably earlier than that. I'm tripping. This is probably like early 2000s. Yeah, this is like early 2000s. And and she put that on the board because people in the third grade, they're sagging their pants or whatever, right?
Wait, bro,
So
hold on. You said your teacher put that on the board,
yeah.
bro. Please tell me she was black.
Yeah, she was.
Bro,
She was.
I was
She
about to
was.
say, bro. Okay, all right,
100%
my
she was.
bad,
It
my
probably
bad.
would have
Go
been
ahead.
different context if she wasn't, but yeah, she was. So she
Okay,
did it to kind of make a statement in a sense, right? And if you understand where it kind of originate from, it originates from prison, right? Where inmates wouldn't be able to have belts or whatever, so naturally their pants would hang a little bit below their waistline. So then that had me thinking, I'm like, well, why is that something that's so tied specifically to the black community? And the reason why is because for a long period of time we had this thing what was known as the school to prison pipeline, right, where a lot of children that live in inner cities, right, that would be either going to predominantly black schools or just living in predominantly black communities, they would be faced with not only harsher treatment, but they would be more likely and more inclined to end up in the prison system, right? Whether they, went to juvenile detention systems, right? Whether they have a lot of misdemeanors and then eventually got felonies, or whether they just had to drop out of school for whatever reason, or that they weren't capable of getting into a good paying job or profession or go to college, and then they end up on the streets, right? So there's a lot of reasons for this. And for a very, very long time, I felt as though it was kind of like the system in a sense, kind of targeting young black and brown minorities, right? For
absolutely.
them to end up into the system. And
Mhm.
for a very long time, I think the system really was doing that, Trey. It's just that as of recent years, right, with the numbers and the statistics, how it matters, I think, bro, that we definitely still do face with some kind of systematic prejudice, but a lot of things that play a factor into the success of a student, whether they're black or brown. I think it really starts in the home, right? How these kids are being
Facts.
prepared before they go to school. And the
Mhm.
reason why I say this is because, like I said, for a very long time, it seems like no matter if you're black, Hispanic, or white, when you go to that principal's office, how you're treated is going to be determined a little bit by your race, right? Before you even get into that office. But then I think another thing too that a lot of people aren't realizing, and this is very apparent in the black community of itself, is that are we actually preparing our kids for when they get to school on how to, you know, properly, uh, you could say, behave themselves. It's not about listening to the teacher just to in a sense, I have this hierarchy of authority. But like,
Mhm.
yo, you gotta understand, you kind of like in a professional setting, just like if you were to be at a job interview, right? You wouldn't just speak out of hand. You see what I'm saying? So I think a lot of things goes into play with that, bro. But what's your thoughts on that?
Honestly, bro, if I was to give my take on it, it's there's a lot of people that's going to side with the system and blame the system, which, like you said, the system is definitely prevalent in terms of the prison or the school to prison pipeline, right? Like as far as the systematic racism and then the whole prejudice thing that goes on and things like that. We all understand that the system is set up to continue to imprison and make sure that basically that they get money from that. You understand what I'm saying? And it still is there. I do think it still is there. If I was to get my honest spill, however, the excuse on just the system alone, we can't just do that, right? A lot of people who play the victim mindset, they cripple themselves in terms of how they can turn their situation around when they're just pointing a finger. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And black folks and brown folks, a lot of times we do have these complaints, which are, they're okay to have. You get what I'm saying? Because it's reasonable that we see the system, right? We see what's happening, and it's not that we're not acknowledging that. It's just that what could you do to prevent certain things from happening, right? This is just one case, and this is just one way. You understand what I'm saying? The pipeline is being filled. This is just one
Mm-hmm.
way the prisons are being filled. You understand what I'm saying when it comes to the system, right? Like you just said, it starts within the home. So we also have to be mindful of that, right? I don't want people to just skip over what you just said because that is very important, bro. It starts within the home. And based on if you had a kid at a young age, based on the things and the morals that was instilled in you, that's going to be the same way you teach your kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if they're unprepared when they go to school, if they have free range to do whatever they want, if they don't have etiquette in terms of having social awareness and they have manners and good behaviors, then they're going to be more prone to act out. If they don't get disciplined at home, then they're not going to listen to the teacher when they're yelling at them or they go to the principal's office. You
Yeah,
understand what I'm
facts.
saying? So, or if it's severe punishment, when it just all depends on how you're raising your kid. Is basically what I'm saying. So when you say the home, that is very important, and that's where we can take an account from, right? That's where we can actually look at ourselves in the mirror and ask ourselves, okay, this is something that I can change, right? I could reduce the number or the statistic or the stigma that's out there as far as the school to prison pipeline if I do my part and I make sure my household is good. I make sure
Mm-hmm.
that I have, I'm not a
Facts.
part of the other statistic as far as getting raised by being raised by a single mother or you know, having that dynamic on having a baby mother with me being a man. You know what I'm saying? This is why I feel as though people should be more intentional with dating because that's where it starts, right? It starts with
Mm-hmm.
dating, which then leads into you being married, which then leads into you having a family, and then you instilling those right things into your children. You understand what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
bro, I'm not gonna lie, bro. I can dissect this so good, but I feel as though people they're not gonna understand it or they'll agree with it, but they won't put into place what needs to be done. You understand what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Because I'm gonna be honest, bro. I'm a young man myself. You get what I'm saying? And we all know, man, men have those natural hormones. You understand what I'm saying? To want a whoremonger, to want to be a womanizer. You understand what I'm saying? And there's a lot of fellas out there who do that. But if you're thinking long term, if you're thinking for your culture, your community, and your family, you understand what I'm saying? You're going to get yourself together. You're going to be disciplined and you're going to be focused on you, right? You're going to work on yourself so that you can attract a partner, a woman for what? For your family, right? And then once you have that family, then you can teach the children the same morals that you learn. You understand what I'm saying? And then hopefully that can spill into your other family members, like your cousins, aunts, and uncles, or your friends, and they could,
Mm-hmm.
they could live up to you being that example, and you do the same thing. And then hopefully it spills into the culture as far as that being a standard, right? That used to
Mm-hmm.
be a standard as far as us being strong families and united. I honestly wish we had some statistics on schooling back when Black families were more together, because I
Mm-hmm.
want to see if there was any increase or decrease in the numbers from the school to prison pipeline. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we can do another, live or video to do that. But
Yeah,
man, I know that was a long
100%.
spiel, but to answer your question, bro, it really starts with the household, bro, and it starts with the man taking accountability, number one. Also, the woman as well. You understand what I'm saying? We have to stop living for
Facts.
self so much and be okay with being married. If we trying to change the culture, man, if we trying to really implement good things, it really starts with the family.
No, 100%, 100%. The reason why I wanted to get your take on it because like I said, for a very long time, right, growing up in the inner city and then going into college, taking Africana studies and sociology, learning about the prison, the school to prison pipeline. It's like, okay, boom, I could see it. It's apparent. But
Hmm.
even for myself, right, growing in a Caribbean household, I didn't have the same kind of, you can say, attitude when it came to school because of the kind of, you could say, pressure, the kind of um way my parents raised me at home. I couldn't come home with an F and then not be questioned about it. You know what I'm saying? Not be asked like, hey, what's going on? Or, at least be sat down for a little bit and actually try doing the homework with them. I feel as though the problem that plays here is, like you said, that in the home, they're not, these kids aren't really given proper structure. They're not really given like good help somewhere to actually start from, like a good starting point. And then they already have a system that's not working in their benefit. That's already going on. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So now it's just easier for them to end up in the prison system. And
Hmm.
now not only do they have that system that's already pre-existing, right? And now it's slowly, you can say slowly, bit by bit, year by year, it's fading away. We're seeing less and less students not only want to be suspended from school, right, be expelled, but also being arrested as well before the age of 21, right? That number is actually drastically going down, which is amazing. Right now, you can also say the testosterone levels is also going down too. So, there's a lot of different factors with that. But at the same time, right, it's good that at least more people aren't going to prison. Now, the problem comes is that now when we have this system going on, right, the kids, they're not getting a good foundation from home. And then they're also listening to music that condones and promotes that same kind of behavior. And the same people that own the record labels, they also own these prisons that these people are going into as well, right? If you think
Facts.
about the full long term, the long term schematic and piece to this whole thing, it kind of seems like a very, I don't want to say a wicked game, but it seems like we don't help this generation or the next generation that comes if we don't prepare our kids before they go to school, if we
And
don't constantly talk to them about what they're listening to and how they behave themselves.
right, I want to add to that real quick,
Mm-hmm.
um, because what you just said, it makes me think about something. It's kind of like you say, they own the record labels that push out this poisonous music, and they also own the prisons,
Mm-hmm.
which influence the kids to live up to some of the music, some of the lyrics in the music, and then commit some of the crimes and become those people, right? That's just like these big pharmaceutical companies, right? And we all know who owns them. It's probably the same people, right? They put poison in the food that we eat, and it makes us sick. And then they prescribe us medication for us to be hooked on, which only treats the symptoms if we
Yeah,
if we develop a disease. It doesn't cure the disease. It only treats
exactly.
the symptoms. So it makes us stuck on that drug. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's multiple systems.
There's a
But
lot
it's
of
like
things
we
going on,
sticking in this
bro.
lane right here. But it just made me think about that, bro. And it's interesting. I feel as though if more people knew that, even both systems, even the food and the pharmaceutical industry, like if we knew the record label and the prison pipeline, like cohesion, how they're cohesive, I feel as though people would think like, okay, because other races listen to rap music and hip hop, right? But they're
Mm-hmm.
they're able to differentiate the two. They're able to differentiate the culture and the lifestyle with actual entertainment. They just see that that's entertainment. You get what I'm saying? They don't live up to be that person like black and browns do, or other people do. There's other people of other races who do that. So let me ask you a quick question, just to pick your brain. Is it the music that is causing people to act out in certain ways, or is it the docile mindset to succumb to such a thing as far as the lyrics that are being sang and rapped about?
Hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? Because like I
Yeah.
said, other ethnicities, other ethnic groups are
Hmm.
able to listen to it just fine, and their crime rates, as we see on the stats and the statistics, aren't probably as high as ours or whatever the case
Hmm.
may be. So, what's your thoughts on
Yeah.
that?
Totally. Totally. I think honestly, bro, I think you gave us the answer earlier, right? When you talk about it really starts in the home. I
Hmm.
don't think necessarily that it's the music. I don't think necessarily is that people have a docile mindset. I think it really starts with when they're being, raised, right, from the early ages, and they're being brought up, right. Most of the times, kids, they learn to just copy, right. They just learn to emulate their parents. And if their
Very
parents
true.
aren't really talking about nothing, if their parents aren't really educating them on nothing, or their parents, who knows, listening to the same kind of music, taking the same kind of medication, what
Hmm.
I'm saying, from these companies that in a way are just looping them into a hamster wheel of misery, basically, right? That's basically what it is. If you listen to bad music so you could be at bad and have bad things happen to you, if you're taking bad medication to be sick, and then just to keep, eating bad food again to try and help it out, right? Or vice versa, you're just living in a hamster wheel of misery. So I think it really starts with the home, with whoever those parental figure is, whoever that man is supposed to be leading that household. Like, they're not having these kind of conversation with their kids about what they should properly eat, right? What they should be, how they should be upholding themselves, right? How they should be behaving themselves. Because I think if you have these conversations with your child as a very early age, and then they also see you move in that light, right? Move with your head up high, right?
Hmm.
Move and act very stoic. Kids, they're gonna want to be like their parents. You know what I'm saying? We only don't want to be like our parents whenever we lose a sense of respect for our parents,
And I
right?
remember
I
you
think.
telling me this the other day, not to cut your wisdom.
Hmm.
Like you started to analyze a little bit. Like, bro, I'm like my parents a lot. Like I'm just like my dad and my mom. And it's like even if you're conscious or unconscious of it, we pick up on our parents' tendencies. So that's just to add to
Exactly.
your point. Like whether you're conscious of it or not, you're going to be like your dad or your mom if you have them in your life, or whatever
Exactly.
parental person who played that parental role in your life. You're going to be like them.
Exactly. And you might, of course, you might change. You might be a little bit different right now. Not everybody's the exact same, but certain tendencies, right? Certain things, similar interests, whatever the case may be, you're going to be like them. So I think for anybody listening to this now who has kids or who doesn't have kids yet, you need to really start thinking, you should start acting like the parent that you wish that you had,
There
right?
we go. Hmm.
Try, like, really start being the parent that you wish that you would have wanted for your kids, so now your kids can grow up and have a better chance of not only life being successful than you did, because they're going to copy and emulate you. And if you're not giving them no structure at home, they're just going to go to school, right? And then the school system is going to try and give them structure, and then before you know it, boom, if the school system don't give you structure, then the prison system will, right? If you don't teach them good habits on diet and eating, before you know it, they don't have any kind of discipline in other aspects of their life, right? And then they deal with health problems later down the line, right? You got to start thinking, especially as a parent, or if you don't have kids, right? If you do want to have kids and leave legacy on the earth, you got to start thinking about it. Just start moving in the light of the person that you would want to be, or that you
And
would
let
want
me
in your
drop a
corner.
psychology jewel real quick because it might be easier than done, like doing what you just said.
Mm-hmm.
I feel as though where it starts with is number one, you have to forgive your parents if they weren't able to be the superheroes and the parents that you wanted them to be. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Most cases, they're doing the best that they can with what they were taught. So we have to be emotionally intelligent enough, and I would say basically be the bigger person and put yourself in their shoes as far as what they were raised with. You understand what I'm saying? Have that sense of understanding, because then it's going to change your heart posture on moving forward with your healing journey, because it's probably a healing journey. You was expecting something and you didn't get that and they fell short. So seeing things from their perspective and just being grateful that you had a parent that did what they can or did what they could change your perspective. And then moving forward, when you settle down with a spouse, then you're able to healthily create that lifestyle for the kid as far as being that parent that you wanted. You understand what I'm saying? But I just wanted to drop that psychology, man, because
Facts.
it starts with the heart posture, bro. You got to pick apart certain things, and you got to
Mm-hmm.
change your mindset on certain things
Mm-hmm.
to be able to embody that fully.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%. So, I know we definitely talked about a lot on this episode. Just for us to go ahead and wrap it up, I think very much, people could look up the statistics themselves, honestly, right? Like you could look up how many people go from school that are black and brown that end up in prison. You could just look up the statistics yourself. But we don't really want to point too much light towards like what the problem is. But let's just try and point some light towards, all right, what could be the possible solution, right? We already know
Right.
that the problem exists. We already know that it's there, right? How can we kind of be more progressive, right?
Hmm.
And more reactive than or more active than reactive.
Right.
Am
And
I,
I want
am
to
I the
add
right
this
word?
as well. Like you say, we all know that the system is against us, right? We're not overlooking that. We understand that. We're just saying we can do other things to go around that. Like we can use the system. We can learn about law. You understand what I'm saying? We can learn how the law works. We can learn how to psychologically change the family dynamic and the culture as a whole. You understand what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? But it starts with really looking in the mirror and seeing that you're able to do these few steps to change and be a part of the bigger picture on what we can do as people. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So we just wanted to bring this to you guys' attention and see what you think or see what you guys thought. And Hugh sent me the video and I watched it. This guy, we both disagreed on what he was saying. So just thought we might, share that with you guys. So a little short form content for you all, but definitely let us know what you think in the comments. We want you to like, share, and subscribe. Check out that link in the description, and then stay tuned to the next episode. Also, if you didn't see that social media one, y'all got it, bro. Check
For
that out
sure.
for real.
Yeah, definitely check that out. Definitely a
For
banger.
real.
And with that being said, until the next episode, all right,
Facts.
we out.
Peace. Got more content coming for y'all.